Welcome back to the channel. We've got some more, I don't know, pile of nonsense courtesy of Tim Miller. This has come out from a few articles and interviews and things like that recently, actually. Now, this obviously pertains to not only Deadpool, but Terminator Dark Fate, and then also it pertains to his resume and his future moving forwards, really. This man has essentially done nothing in the industry. He's really done nothing. But he essentially demands control of everything. And now, I'm a big proponent of directors being given a chance and directors being given control. Because I've said it many times. I think, studio interference is definitely not good. I mean, it isn't. It's not good at all. You do need one guiding vision, whether it's the studios or the directors. When they clash, that's where there's an issue, or where you get, big, heavy lead roles that are far above in star power than the director is. Like this one, for instance. Ryan Reynolds is clearly more of a name than Tim Miller. If it was Ryan Reynolds up against the likes of Ridley Scott, then you would probably question Ryan Reynolds' audacity to question Ridley Scott or George Lucas. Do you know what I mean? Any big name director. It doesn't have to be those ones in particular because that's a bad example, but you get my point. Now, I'm a huge proponent, like I said, of directors getting creative control when they've earned it. When they've earned it. Now, the kind of route nowadays is directors do indie films and then studios will take a chance on them. They will say, yeah, you've done this many indie films. They're fantastic. They were your vision. Clearly, your vision is what's so great here. Here's the keys to this. Here's the keys to that. Here's $200 million. Whatever. But Tim Miller hasn't really done that, has he? He did Deadpool. And he was essentially fired or walked from Deadpool 2. And then he was given Terminator Dark Fate. And that was abysmal. So he's not really someone that could command a studio to give him the creative control. But I do find it comical how directors now... I kind of guess it goes back to that thing of like paying your dues, right? And let's just relate it to YouTube, for instance, right? When I first came on YouTube, and I would say, look, I know this, my source has told me this, people would question me non-stop. And I still get questioned all the time, like from relatively new people to the channel. But the more and more I said, yeah, my sources said this, I wholeheartedly stand by this, and it was right. Case in point, Alien Covenant, Predator, or The Predator, Godzilla King of the Monsters, Hellboy, Terminator Dark Fate, for instance. All of these times I said this, the more and more I'm paying my dues, right? You get questioned, you're putting it out there, you're getting slammed for it. But you get it right and people say, no, okay, this is a person that we can believe in. It's the same kind of thing here, A director has to pay his dues. You have to go out there. You have to do the small budget movies. You have to get your creative vision out there in that capacity first before being given huge sums of money. And he's not paid his dues, but he's wanting the big money and the big creative control. And to compare it to another high-profile property, which unfortunately the studio didn't do that at all, it would be Star Wars. Rian Johnson, right? This is a man that hasn't done a lot of big films. He didn't. He did Looper, and there was another one which is highly regarded. But again, it's not a man that had paid his dues per se. So I do find this interesting that Tim Miller has the audacity. Now this pertains to Deadpool 2, it pertains to Dark Fate, and I think this is really why the films are a mess. Obviously Deadpool 2 isn't, well, subjective opinion to one side, isn't really a mess, but Terminator Dark Fate sure is, and I think this is why, Tim Miller now has admitted to basically saying, I'm not going to be doing big films anymore. I'm going to go to do indie films where I can have the control. Not only that, he knows he's not going to be given the money anymore. So Terminator Dark Fate director Tim Miller recently spoke about what really happened with Deadpool 2 and why he did not return to direct the sequel. An initial report indicated that Miller did not return due to creative differences. Now, normally, that's like PR spin. But it seems it was actually true. Now, in 2016, The Wrap reported that Ryan Reynolds returned to the sequel with a new deal that gave him control over casting and other creative controls. And I would say that that's probably the right thing to do with that property, with that actor for that property, just because Ryan Reynolds is Deadpool. That is his persona coming out. So if a director was spitballing ideas that didn't really align with his persona, his actual persona, then yeah, that's not good, is it really? Because you like Deadpool because it's genuinely just Ryan Reynolds. It's the same with Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man. He's just playing Robert Downey Jr. for the most part, hence why he's so good at it. Now, the two reportedly also had very different visions for the film. Now, Miller reportedly wanted a more stylized sequel, while Reynolds wanted to embrace the film's raunchy comedy style, which again goes back to what I've just said, is that that's the right decision, and also shows Tim Miller as being a subpar director because you're not working with your assets. You know, the lead, his strength is raunchy comedy. He's quick wit, real sharp, bang on the money. That's the strength of the lead. If you're not going to work within that, you're showing real bad directorial decisions. Now, the two also reportedly had issues over the casting of Cable. Now, this is what I think is hilarious. Miller wanted Carl Chandler. What? And Reynolds did not. Carl Chandler as Cable. The dude from Godzilla King of the Monsters. Are you fucking joking me? That is a terrible casting choice. That really is terrible. Really, really is terrible. Now, Miller is opening up about why he did not return in an interview with KCRW's The Business podcast. Right? Now, he states the following. It became clear that Ryan wanted to be in control of the franchise. He's making no friends here, is he? You can work that way as a director quite successfully, but I can't. I don't mind having a debate, but if I can't win, I don't want to play. And I don't think you can negotiate every creative decision. There's too many to make. So Ryan's the face of the franchise, and he was the most important component of that, by far. If he decides he wants control of it, then he's going to control it. But yeah, he is the face, and it's his persona that is selling the movie, which gave you a big paycheck. Now, obviously, the direction of Dark Fate. In the same interview, Miller talked about his experience working with producer James Cameron. And this is the interesting stuff. We kind of covered this before, but it's interesting how we open it up further, and you can really see why things fell apart. Now, it says, there seemed to be a disconnect with the box office and the critical reviews of the film, so while the film initially enjoyed a 72% on Rotten Tomatoes, just as T2 Judgment Day did, the returns at the box office were far less favourable, earning only $29 million in its opening weekend. Like his experience with Deadpool 2, Miller explained why he would never work with James Cameron again. But it has nothing to do with whatever trauma I have from the experience, it's more that I just don't want to be in a situation again where I don't have the control to do what I think is right. He also talked to The Hollywood Reporter about his creative battles with James Cameron. Even though Jim is a producer and David Ellison is a producer and they technically have final cut and ultimate power, my name is still on it as director. Even if I'm going to lose the fight, I still feel this obligation to fight because that is what the director is supposed to do, fight for the movie. If I suggested Legion is so powerful, the only way to beat it is to go back in time, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, this is a man who ultimately, you've not paid your dues, Tim Miller, mate. You've not given anyone any reason to give you creative control. Again, just like I said, pertaining to YouTube, for instance, when I first started coming out with these, exclusive leaks and stuff like that, no one had any reason to believe me. If you've not paid your dues, you don't get it. You don't get the respect, you don't get the creative control, and you can't expect it either. You genuinely can't expect it. And again, I firmly believe that studios shouldn't interfere that much. I firmly believe that. But only when a director has proven themselves. Because otherwise, that's a fucking huge financial risk. And is not very smart. So anyway, I thought you would enjoy this. We do like to discuss Tim Miller here on this channel as well as Dark Fate. It's interesting how a movie which had such high potential and a lot of interest failed so miserably. Anyway, guys, let me know your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. If you are new here, make sure you do hit subscribe. You can stay up to date on the world of pop culture and movie news by hitting the bell notification icon. Anyway, guys, and as always, please do give this video a like and a share. Merch underneath every single video. I've been Mr. H. Take care.